I'm gonna just keep it me right now. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're doing another live feed today, and I just wanted to come in here and tell you about somebody that I would, if I lived where he lived, I would be voting for this man. And so I'm going to bring him in. His name's Stephen Linne, and I want you to introduce yourself, sir.
Yep, Stephen Linney. I live out in Panama City, Florida. I'm running for Florida House District 6, um, along with my friend here who's also running for Florida House, and I
Oh
endorse
yeah.
him fully.
Oh
He's
yeah.
a big
We
2A
endorse each
advocate.
other.
But yeah, just a normal guy, work a normal job. I was in Navy 6 years active duty. I'm a prior submariner, and I work out at Tyndall Air Force Base. And right now we're all out campaigning. We're going door to door, getting what we need to get done to get on the ballot. And I'm actually running against a guy who is a Republican, so red against red, but um, he seeks to abridge the Second Amendment and he seeks to abridge the Constitution, and that's why I decided to run against him. We got a lot of rhinos in the Republican Party who don't really honestly care about our rights whatsoever, and it's bad because you want to you hope that at least the Republicans, you vote red, you're going to be fine, but it's not the case. I mean, obviously, I completely don't even think about the Democrat Party because in my mind they're far gone, and there's nothing you can do about that. But you would expect that at least the Republicans would have your back, but it's just not the case. More than not, a lot of these guys come in there and they're private business owners, lawyers. They have a bunch of money behind them, and they just use the job to make more money and move up and use their power to help all their buddies and all their friends. It's just a good old boy network, and I think that's what we're both fighting
I
against.
totally agree. And we're seeing that on both spectrums. Even where I'm at, I have Brian masked in my back door, and I mean, if he's not a rhino, I don't know who is. And it now that I'm running for state representative, if I would have had a little bit more, I wish I could have ran for Congress because I really wish I could take his seat. I would love to just get him out and let the people know that at least they have a really have more options than just the 2A.
I think
We both do.
the Florida House, I think, is a good stepping stone, right? Because
Yeah,
people think mayor, city council member, but the problem with that is you're dealing with, and not that it's not important because it is, but you're dealing with more mundane issues, and you don't have a lot of effect on the grand scheme of things, right? As a state legislator, you can create laws that affect the entire state and also protect us and shield us from the federal government, which is really important. But yeah, man, I think it's a good entryway into Congress to show that you're an effective legislator, or at least that you will stay true to your morals, your beliefs, and your values, and protect the Constitution.
absolutely. And that's what it's about for both of us is we have our values, we have our family values, we have our constitutional values, we have all these values that are so important, and we're watching them just get stepped on to a point that is just like what happened to them. That's in we need more people like us running for these positions that actually do care
100%.
about the people, and that's what I
Definitely.
do care about is I care about my county, and I care about the state of Florida as a whole.
I want to encourage, I think this is great because I'd love to start getting other people involved in politics and local politics and running for office as well. And I think that's how we're going to take at least our state of Florida back. And a lot of people completely disregard the state level politics and they just focus on national level politics, and they don't realize that actually the state level politics has way more effect on our lives than the federal level ever will have.
Ever. I
Yeah.
mean, you can look at so many different aspects because I mean, even for the marijuana, you look at the federal level, it's still that'll never change. But you can see state to state from California, Oregon, you name the state. I mean, I think there's like 30 something states that have either medical or something, and the federal government doesn't step in because they see the tax money. And, you know, what they're at the federal level, they're not doing it, but we're seeing it here in the state. And that's actually something I'll pull up, is going to be our Florida state constitution, you know, and it says in Article 1, Section 8, that, you know, the state can basically create their own gun laws, but it has to be at the legislative state where we're at. You know, Congress, we try to create a bill, Congress takes that bill, and then it goes beyond that. But it starts at the ground level, and if you've got nothing but people preaching anti-gun, they're just going to keep taking away our firearms. They're going to take away anything and everything that's true to our hearts, to our beliefs.
Well, that's a start of it. I mean, it's really that's the beginning, right? They start with the guns, obviously, and then everything else goes downhill from there. I mean, you can see that throughout history. I mean, right now there's attacks on our First Amendment rights. Right now, online, we haven't actually created any legislation to protect free speech online, and so there's these platforms like Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, and they're touting as these free speech hubs of communication, like the new town hall, essentially, and they're silencing and banning conservatives every day, and it's just another example. And what will happen when I mean, the issue I have really with it all is they're talking so casually about these things. Like, yeah, we should ban this. We should ban semi-automatic guns. Like, okay, that's like a
Like,
normal. That's like an okay convert. Like
oh,
you're just
it's no
talking.
big deal. It's
Yeah,
just,
like
hey,
let's ban those.
the Second Amendment, what is that? You
Yeah,
know?
no, that can be restricted and regulated. The issue I have is you also have people, like I said previously, these rhinos, these FUDs, and they like to pick and choose what they like in the Constitution. You'll have someone who's like, as long as he's not taking my 22 sport rifle, I don't really care, and that's just completely ridiculous. And the thing I see whenever and I'm not trying to keep talking too much, but the thing that I see, and I was invited to the Young Democrats watch party. They watched the first debates, and they were like, it was really actually interesting because they were very quiet almost the whole time. They just like nodded their heads, and like one here and there they clapped, for raising the minimum wage and all this good stuff. But when they talked about guns, I could not hold myself back from saying something. I was really trying not to. I just wanted to observe. But when I had a conversation with them, they're so dead set on their beliefs, and they're very passionate about it. And you're not going to be able to change these people's the way they think about it. So you're never going to be able to do that. I have a friend of mine, and I'll let you talk. But I have a friend of mine who was over just last night, and he's a good guy, and he's he means well, but he thinks that one pitch centers, which are essentially anarchists, he believes that anarchists are on the far left of the spectrum. So fascists are obviously fascism and socialism are very similar, and they're on the left side of the spectrum. But he thought that anarchists were also on the left side of the spectrum. So I think people are very confused on. I mean, you got people on the left who obviously think that fascists and Nazis are on the right as well. So I think our education systems have failed us miserably.
and these are the things that we do want to try to fix. There's a lot of things that, I mean, it may not even be fixing. It's just if we can try to help. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know at this point how we can get things corrected, because things are so far right and so far left, and there's nobody seems to want to even try to think about a middle anymore. The middle is where we need to be, and between gun rights, our First Amendment rights, we have if we start treading on any of them and we start ripping those rights away from people, and like you said, they just talk about it as like so frivolous. It's just, it's just the First Amendment. It's just the second. But, well, all right. It's just the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
It's just the Fifth Amendment.
Exactly.
It's
just due process. That's
due
all.
process. Oh, yeah. What's that? Oh,
you don't need that.
ah, arrest them and we'll figure it out in court after thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And those are things that, even for me, I'm very much constitutional. I want to protect all the things that they are trying to strip. Before we go to the next part, I've got Texas GT, and he was asking a question. Out of curiosity, Democrats, Republicans, why not just be individual person running for office? Believe me, IMAX Navy, ASW, and we chase you guys down.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah,
you guys try to find us.
And then I'm not trying to bash this guy. I want to hear him out.
No. I'm messing with him.
And then he's like, okay, so fair enough. Are your thoughts about what are our thoughts about El Paso and Ohio? And we can come back to that as well, Texas GT, I promise. But then you're like, oh, these guys are perfect politicians. They're not even listening to questions. We're in a live stream, bud, and I really want you to talk and reach out to us, and I want to talk to you. But we wanted to kind of talk, about one thing, and then we're going to get into all the good stuff. And I will talk to all our guests.
I'd like to address that first question.
Absolutely.
And so you were talking about why don't you run instead of running as a Democrat or Republican, why don't you just run as just like an independent, like an individual, right? Here's the thing, right? I want to get elected.
Absolutely.
And right now there's two parties. Libertarian Party is a joke, in my opinion. They are so split ideologically. It doesn't make any sense, and you'll never win. And in a very conservative area, which I live in, you have to run as Republican. And the Republican Party used to be an amazing party. I mean, go back just 40, 50 years, maybe even less, my favorite Republican would be Barry Goldwater. And back then they were really constitutionalists. Republicans put the Constitution in the forefront of their mind before creating laws and legislation. So they actually believed in these things. They don't anymore. So running as a Republican doesn't mean that doesn't put anything on me. It doesn't make me someone that I'm not. And the same for Mike too. I'm guessing he feels the same way about this. I mean, it doesn't putting the R by my name doesn't now all of a sudden make me a different person. I am a Republican, a true Republican, a constitutionalist. That's how I view it.
Yeah. And even for me, when I've been out and I've been talking to, petitioning, just sitting out on the inlet or wherever, I've talked to people and I've ran in, to diehard Democrats, and they're like, what are you running as? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm running as Republican. And, going through the talks that I've had, I was like, the only difference between a Republican and a Democrat is just a letter. I was like, it's about what I am actually trying to do for the people. And then, I go right into what I'm trying to do. I talk about education. I talk about trying to find new ways to, bring in tax revenue here, not just in my county, but, throughout the state of Florida. And if you draw in that money, we don't need to have these 0.5% every few years, and there's been so many things, and they listen, and they're like, they take my card and they're like, something, I'm kind of interested in, I won't say I changed their mind, but I got them to listen to where they wouldn't listen to a Republican to begin with. And those are, I think, I can't speak for you, but I'll speak for myself, is like, sometimes I feel like I have been part of that libertarian, but at the same time, there's so many Republican values that I honor, and I think I'm more behind than the Libertarian Party, because sometimes they are separate in certain areas. There's sections that they are completely separate on. Yeah. And I want to stay true to exactly what I want to stay true to.
Well, I mean, I'd love to run in the Constitutional Party, right? I'd love to run as a constitutionalist, right?
Yeah.
Because I am. And I've been even invited. I was talking to you about that earlier. I wasn't actually invited to run. Like, please run as a constitutionalist. But in my mind, the Republican Party should stand for the Constitution, and that will be the distinction between an R and a D if it were in an ideal world where we had people who actually represented us in office, but we don't,
Yeah.
and it's
And
very prevalent.
yeah, and we really need to. It's almost to where I can't. Oh, I don't care about the Democratic Party. I mean, they should filter themselves out, but we need for the Republican side is to start filtering out these rhinos and getting those guys and girls out and really start focusing in on what we were true to from the beginning and stick to those values, because I think some of them have they hear so much and they're like, oh, if we don't do this, we're not going to get reelected, instead of sticking to what they truly believe. Or maybe they decided they want to run as a Republican when they were a Democrat, and they did it to get into office, and now they're just going to flip flop and go back to
Yep.
what they really thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think right now the designator means so much less than it used to.
No, yeah,
Oh yeah.
and even for me, I can say for the last probably like 10, 12 years, I haven't really been solid into politics, but I've always voted and I've always tried to learn about the people that I'm voting for.
Hmm.
Right now, I don't even think people care to even try to dig into what they're voting for. They're just like, oh, free, or they're going to give me, oh, I don't have to do nothing. I just get.
Yep.
But they don't understand that the people that are working, that are paying for all the stuff that they're going to get for free is just, and I mean, I was watching a video, and it basically was like, it's going to cost like $23 trillion just to give everybody free healthcare. And then you want to give them free education. That's another $2.7 trillion. Where does all that money come from? And they're like, the only way you're going to pay for it is with a 90% income tax. The only way you're going to have to take everybody's money, not just the rich. It's going to come from
If
the middle class and the lower that are
if
actually
you
working.
think, yeah, and you hit that on the head because if you think about it, so around 50% of the United States pays for the other 50%. So we have 50% of the people in the United States are actually working, and the other half are not, right? And we have all these socialist welfare programs. All of them are sort of socialist programs, and it's draining on us. And I mean, the issue is we have this huge onion of problems, and you peel back one layer, and there's another one, and another one, and another one, and it's almost endless. And the argument against what we're going for could be, oh, what are you going to do? You're just one guy, right? And I 100% understand that looking at it that way, but right now, in my opinion, there's only two options for the United States. And one of them is we elect people that will represent us and truly value the Constitution and will protect our rights, or civil war. In my opinion, those are the only two options. The country is going to keep devolving into this just mess. I mean, you got these riots that are going on every day, you got these shootings going on, and it just people are not okay. People are not mentally okay, and this has been kind of festering for a while, a long while. I think it's part of the boomers, right? Now, don't get mad out there, any boomers, but I think that the boomer generation had it easy. Their parents, the great generation or the silent, it's the great generation. They went to war, right? And then so these boomers, they were living the high life. The economy was doing good, everyone's doing great. It's the start of the peace and love movements and the Woodstock and hippies and stuff. And the next thing you know, these hippies become school teachers, they became college professors, and they are teaching my generation and Generation X, but the biggest influence was on the millennials, and you can see it.
Today.
So it's so prevalent. And
So,
they were able to not only indoctrinate a generation, but they were able to somehow seep their own curriculum into the schools, which is straight up Marxist shit. Like, excuse my language, but it's like literally
that
straight
one's
up
good on YouTube, man. Don't worry about it's like the F bombs and the R word. Don't use the R word.
the R
R
word.
word is no good.
Okay. I will try. I will attempt. I will. I'm very bad. I'm a sailor, so
Yeah,
work
yeah,
just
yeah.
come right
We
out.
all, you don't even know, man. I tame myself back, especially when I'm on camera. Whoa, it's my cat. She wants in. Hey, Josh. Hold on, everybody. I gotta let her in. Go on. Go ahead. All right. I'm back. So basically, yeah, in I even for me, like the hardest thing with our education system is that they say they don't have enough funding, which they may not. They may not. I totally I could probably agree with it because the fact that like my wife, she went out and bought a bunch of pens, paper, like they do a communal thing. Every student buys, a 30 pack of pens and this many this, and then they basically throw it in, but nobody comes home with a book. There's not enough books to go around, so I don't know what they're reading. I don't know what they're teaching. There's no homework brought home. They don't have to do any homework. It's all done at their school, so I don't even know what they're being taught. There's so many issues that I have with what's going on in school and with technology. They couldn't argue the fact that there's no way to upload a book onto their public school system for me to read and understand what's going on.
Yeah, the
And
curriculum is something
right,
that
right,
the parents.
they give you a little piece of paper that says this is what they're supposed to be learning, but when you ask them about that curriculum, it doesn't seem like they're actually being taught that
Mhm.
because that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about something completely different.
Yeah,
And
and honestly, some of the biggest things actually is well, obviously the parent, the home is the most important thing, um, hands down. But that's cultural. That's something that is learned. It is, you can't legislate that stuff. You know, you can't
no,
create laws or amend or get rid of laws. There are some. If you Now, this is going to be a controversial thing, but if you start to put restrictions on the welfare systems, you may see improvements, like the single motherhood rate right now, the highest it's ever been in the country.
yeah,
And you have these single mothers that are either getting money from the government and they have 10 kids, and they're getting alimony from the fathers, and they're living off the government, and these kids are raising each other in the neighborhood, right? And they're
kids
doing
raising
some.
kids.
Yep, and then they'll go commit a crime, they'll go catch a felony, and then they're done. Their life's over. They circle in and out of prison, and they're done. They're screwed. And then they get Harvard degrees in prison. It's great, great. You can just wipe your bow with that degree because it doesn't mean anything. They should be getting them into trades. I think that's something we should be pushing for, not only in high school but also in the prison system. I
At
think.
the higher end of middle school,
Yeah.
that as they start getting into seventh, eighth grade, and even for the teachers, I think the teachers can see, whether it's if the gym teacher sees that they're really good at this, they know they excel at something. That's something that they need to tell the parents, say, hey, there's a school that could benefit them. If they're great at building things, you introduce them into shop class, or you auto mechanics, or there's so many trades out there. Same thing with electricity. That was one trade I think I really wish I would have got into, was electronics, or just anything that had to do with electronics, and I missed that opportunity. And there's trade schools for that,
Yep.
and there are awesome ways to make a really good living, and you don't have to. It's not that you're not going to go to school or you're not going to learn something. It's just you don't have to say I need 2 3 years of English class, 2 years of some kind of liberal media or whatever. You
Hmm.
don't have to go through all that. You're really focused in on one specific thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's so funny because I took a semester of college this year. I was trying to knock out my associate's degree. I never got to finish it, and I was doing full time. I did 4 classes while working full time, while running for office, while I'm still in the reserves right now, and I got 2 youngins.
Yeah.
So I took psychology and a couple other classes. But psychology now they're teaching like just just this stuff, and it's just it's like it's gender dysphoria and all this just these odd and I'm like, it has nothing.
Yeah.
My degree that I was trying to get is in cybersecurity. Why do I need to know about psychology, geography, or geology? It was geology. It wasn't even geography. It was geology. So I'm learning about rocks and I'm memorizing uh, the definitions for wave, different types of waves, formations, and I mean, it's stuff I don't need to know. I mean, it's not practical knowledge. I'm not going to start mining for gold in Mexico now because I've learned this. So and that's the kind of like it's a waste of
I had to
time.
take psychology. They didn't go through that with me through culinary school when I went to culinary school. I had to take a psychology class, and once again I learned that psychology is not for me, and I don't want to try to understand all the things that, like, psychology is just one of those, you're never gonna figure it out
I
because
think
there's
it's
so many ifs,
important.
ands, and buts about it.
I
It's
think
important to
psychology
understand some
in
of it.
general, the ideas, yes, but yeah, just to know like these theories and just this stuff that's like, even
Yeah.
like advanced math, you're never going to use it. I mean, you're going to go teach math to people who don't need to know this math. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what are the like in all
Like, if
on
you're in
already
NASA, you may have to use that relative
there
time and,
if
the
if
where it
you're going
crosses
to be going,
continuums and stuff.
yeah.
You may have to. There are but we're talking a minute, small part.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
and for those people that are those Einstein kids that are extremely smart at, yes, let's send them to MIT. Let's get them the best education we can get them, because
Mhm.
something, they're going to be the ones as they grow older that are going to make differences in our not just in Florida but the United States.
As
Because
long as
we,
everyone's not paying for the college.
yeah,
As long as they're getting
long as he earned all his scholarships, it wasn't a
yeah.
free grant, it wasn't a free
And
this, it wasn't.
scholarships are so easy to get nowadays. There's literally no reason at all. Honestly, if you really try hard, you don't even need to take out student loans. I'm sorry, that's going to make some people angry, but it's the truth. If you
Yeah,
honestly, there's
get
scholarships
good
for
grades.
everything. One of my this guy I went to high school with, he made a duct tape wallet, and he got $1,000 from like some tape manufacturer. Yeah,
You know how many
and it's
books you
like
can buy with a
that's a
thousand
that's
dollars bro?
that's $1,000. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just laziness, honestly. And I don't honestly nowadays you don't even really have to go to college. You really can get away with not having a degree. I don't have a degree, and I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I'm working for the Air Force. I have a security clearance.
Yeah,
So
the difference is that you did put your service in, and that has some weight to it. And
it's a trade.
unfortunately, I didn't go to I was never in the service. My parents were. I did try to get into the Marines, but things just didn't work out. I mean, I had a couple waivers, I had bronchitis, so a couple things that it was making it more difficult for me to get in. And at the time, I was very young and hot headed, and I didn't see the true potential, but that was my own choice. But before we go any further, Lady D, Miss Free, she asked, here's my question. What makes you want to run for office? What positive changes will you make to the people, for the people? Do you believe that both Democrats and Republicans are equal?
Is
And
that for you or me?
I'm gonna let you take. You're gonna get a couple minutes on this, and then I'm gonna take a couple minutes on
Okay,
this, because
I can
you speak
I
for
can be
you,
real
I'm
quick on
speaking for
this.
me, and we're both gonna be good on this.
Yeah, because we're not necessarily
You
going to
take it
agree on
first.
everything.
You're taking
Okay,
that question first.
all right. So let's see. Here's the question. Okay, what makes me want to run? All right. Well, I'll be honest with you. The first thing that made me want to run was I feel like not doing anything at all makes you worse than the people up there, in my opinion. Right? Activism is good, but it does not really, in the grand scheme of things, if you cannot get you in the legislation you need or get repeal the legislation that's there, then you're just doing circles, right? You're doing donuts. You're not going anywhere. And that's what really made me want to run for office. And then for this particular job running for state house, I was looking at all of the people, all the elected officials in my district, and I was kind of seeing what the positions do, what the jobs entail, and the people that are actually in those positions already. And the guy there, Jay Trumbull, the guy I'm running against, not only has he quadrupled his net worth over 4 years, he's doubled his net worth every year since he's been in office. But also he kind of votes party line, right? So now you think, all right, party line, that's not a big deal. Well, it wouldn't be a big deal, but he voted for a piece of legislation, which surprisingly and sad to say, was majority voted on by both Republican and Democrats. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Safety Act, SB 7026, which raised the age of buy rifles from 18 to 21, banned bump stocks, and instituted the red flag gun law, which allows the state to confiscate firearms from law-abiding citizens and is a complete violation of our Fifth Amendment rights to due process. So I saw that. I'm a constitutionalist. So that right there for me is a big no-no, and sitting here and doing nothing is unacceptable. No one was going to run against him, and he's got a big bunch of money behind him. And I was like, you know what? He won off 6,000 votes. That's how he got elected. I can go hit 10,000 doors and I can win. I can pull it out from under him. And that's the plan. Do I believe Democrats and Republicans are equal? I honestly don't care about either party as far as when I say this. And I'm going to try to differentiate between party, like politicians, and people, right? So politicians and people, completely different, 1,000% different. Do I think they're equal? Yes, I think both parties are almost the same. They're morally opposed, but both of them want to go and have endless wars, and both of them want to make money and stay in power, and they make laws for their constituents. So that's about it. That's my opinion on that. I mean, it's probably not far from what Mike thinks about it, but
And I could totally agree with you. That is a big part of why I want to run too. And I'm going to get into mine. Now I got to pull the question back up, make sure I get it all. What makes me want to run for office? The biggest part for me was I was sitting around and I really got tired of complaining and seeing what was happening. I can remember when the open carry stuff for me happened. I saw March of Our Lives, Moms Demand Action, all the stuff happening then, and I see it happening tenfold now. And I needed to try to do something, and that's one of the main reasons. I also think our county is lacking in a couple areas where we can either bring some kind of tourism, but there's a lot of good things that I want to bring to here, not just our 2A. Our 2A is in jeopardy right now, but I really want to help our community with either bringing in some kind of tourism to help tax revenue in our county, and then also introducing a couple other ideas that'll help generate money throughout the entire state of Florida. All those ideas are coming. I am going to be making videos on that. What positive changes will you bring to the people for the people? Once again, our 2A rights, I think for a lot of Floridians and Americans, we know that our rights are being kind of infringed on, and I wanted to help between all the people I've seen, all the rhinos from Brian Mast to, I mean, I think there's roughly like, I think 40 or 50 other state representatives that are just frivolously signing off on bills saying, hey, it's okay to take people's rights. And I couldn't just stay by the wayside. And I want to bring our 2A rights. I want to help our taxes. I mean, they just keep half cent here, and next thing you know, we're sitting at 9%, and we have to try to change certain parts of our tax. You know, if they're getting money and they're not doing anything to help Floridians, that's what I'm here for, is to help Florida. Do I think Democrats and Republicans are equal? I do think that they are equal, but it's about what they are doing that makes them unequal. And the way true Democrats, true liberal, I guess liberals, the liberal term, they were very conscientious about constitutions, and they didn't want to infringe on the Constitution. Sure, they wanted certain things for the people, but at this point, I mean, between the millions of dollars that they waste, the billions of dollars that they waste giving to certain areas that are not needed, and then they want to take away, those are the issues that I deal with. They're willing to give, but when they want to start taking constitutional things from us, those are the issues that I have. And that's where I would say Republicans, for the most part, um, stick up for the people right now. The Democrats are just lying to everybody. They say they want to give you free this and free that, but they don't want to tell you how it's going to get paid for. And if people are that blind to not knowing that it's going to come out of their paycheck, out of my paycheck, out of my wife's, out of Stephen Linne's and his family's paycheck, then they're just ignorant to it at all, in all costs. And we need to together stick together. And I wish it wasn't a part where it was an R and a D. I wish it was just like, hey, this guy's got the right ideas, and this is why I'm voting for him. I wish it wasn't Democrat, Republican, or Libertarian, or Constitutionalist. I think we're putting names on people, and people get judged. I mean, you can look at the Trump stuff. You know, everybody's against Trump, but he's actually trying to do good things for our country. But everybody just thinks he's the R word. Ooh, almost let that one slip, but the R word. And is he the greatest? Debatable. Is he doing well? Yes. I think he's done great things for America, and that's how I feel about that.
I think I have some issues with Trump. I support Trump. I support Donald Trump. I support the president.
I support all presidents. Support all of them.
Of course. I support.
See, that's the number one thing. We support all. We might not agree with everything, but we do support any president that gets elected.
The office. I support the office regardless, but I do support President Donald Trump. Here's the thing, though. I want to really make sure that people understand Donald Trump doesn't have anything to do with my election, doesn't have anything to do with your election. And that's important for people to know that are hardcore Trump haters to realize that has nothing to do with A, the fact that you're a Republican, or B, the fact that you're running at all. At least it isn't for me. And so I think he is a smart person, very intelligent. I mean, you don't get that much money without being a very smart person. And if people make the jokes, oh, he got $1 million from his dad or whatever. Now he's worth $4 billion. Like,
hi. That's my neighbors.
So it's like, all right. So I did the math before, but and I'm probably gonna get this wrong. But you take, say your parents give you $1,000, right? Not $1 million, but $1,000. So you'd pretty much have to have 400 grand sitting in your bank. And it might be 4 million. It's either 4 million or $400,000 in your bank to do what Donald Trump did with the money his dad gave him, right?
Yeah.
So and that's the whole thing. That's it. If you think about it, how many people take $1,000 that were given to them by their parents and turn that into 400 grand or $4 million?
Yeah.
Nobody. That's very rare. And obviously, go ahead.
No, and that's the one thing that everybody. Oh, he lost so much money, but even though he may have, every business person has lost money. It's just the way business works. I mean, you've got good times, you got bad times, and he has found a way to be successful. He's a businessman, and that's why I agree with you. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. There is a thought process that he goes through. I mean, even through his stuff he's doing, there's a thought process, and that's what makes him. That's why people are supporting him, is because he's not the typical politician. He's not the one he's got plenty of money. He doesn't need the money being a president.
Mhm.
He doesn't need it. He could have just gone about his day and just kept being a businessman, made millions and millions. But he also saw what I think happened. He saw that road that they're trying to go down, that socialist communist role, and he was like, if that actually happens, that's going to affect his business because they're going to go after his money too.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's all about his name, man. He puts his name on his buildings. He's huge, but he's all about name. And so, what do you think he wants to do when he becomes president? He wants to be like Trump, man. We
Trump.
are, you know, it's all about Trump, all right. And he is condescending. He is very self-absorbed and self-centered. But the reason why he's a good president is not only because he's actually trying to push. I mean, you can see the legislation and the stuff, the initiatives, the ideas that he has. But on top of that, he's putting his name on the line, right? He puts his name on everything,
Oh yeah.
and he's all about it, right? And so he wants to be the best president because he knows he wants to go down in history as one of the greatest
Yeah.
because that's just who he is, right? And so that benefits us, right? Because he wants to do the right thing, right? And now that doesn't mean he's necessarily the most intelligent when it comes to the Constitution, and you could see that he'll say some stuff, and I'm like, that's the New York Trump talking right there. That's the because he hasn't lived our lives. He doesn't come like I used to unload trucks for a living. I used to unload trucks for UPS on the night shift to pay for college with a half scholarship, and I guarantee you, Trump can probably count on both his hands how many boxes he's had lifted in his entire life. I mean, I'm being facetious here, but you get the idea.
Yeah. No. And for him, he may at the beginning put a little legwork in, but that's the part. Even for me, like when I became the executive chef, it wasn't about me cooking anymore. It was about me controlling a team of men and women and saying, hey, this is your job, this is your job, this is your job. As long as we're all doing our jobs, it works in a circle.
Yep.
And I mean, he did it right, and that's why he puts his name on everything. He knows that everything he's done, he's doing the right thing, and that's what we could say about Trump. And for us, because we're gonna get off the Trump thing, but for us, we're in the same boat. I want to try to do the right thing where I see a lot of wrong things being done by others, and if and when I get elected, just like you, if and when you get elected, you want to do the right things for the people because we do see what is happening, not just with the 2A, but throughout all of it. The corruption.
Yeah.
The overtaxing, the education systems. There are so many issues that we keep dumping money into it, but there's never any resolve to it.
Well, we're dumping money, and we're not actually addressing the real problems. We're only addressing the symptoms, right? And there's some things where I'll abolish all gun legislation being my first act. That sounds like a great idea.
I wish
That
if
sounds
that like the 20,000-30,000 bills, just rip that thing. We could have a bonfire with it. Just light it up.
I do actually intend on introducing my first piece of legislation I want to introduce is going to require that all bills and all laws currently on the book to not only be based on the Constitution, but to have evidence to even suggest they should exist. And that's my first piece of legislation. I'm sure when you're elected, you'll co-sign on that bill.
Yeah.
And
copy, paste, and sign. Done.
yeah,
Done
and we're gonna push that. And I've actually got, we don't need to talk about this in this sit down, but we have, at least I have a plan, and we can discuss it openly. What we're planning on doing to push legislation at the state level and be an effective legislator and actually get rid of and repeal most of these unconstitutional laws in the state.
Oh, awesome. I've had a couple questions. What district are you running for state representative?
Sorry, say again. I was reading that.
What district?
District
What
6.
district are you running for?
District 6 is Bay County.
Bay County, and I'm running for District 84, and it's kind of broken up into St. It's a St. Lucie County, but there's a weird line where it kind of stops in. But anyway, it's District 84, and definitely if you can vote for me. I hope you can, and same for him, for Stephen Linney. Vote for this guy, because we're both trying to do we're almost mirror images of each other about what we're trying to do. A little things different, but for the most part, we're both in agreement on a lot of things. So
look at it. So Booger Dog, he said, does Matt Gaetz know of you? If you're primarying a Republican, Gaetz would support a conservative over a potential rhino. You could use a boost. I agree with you. I could use a boost. I've actually met Matt Gaetz, and no, he probably will not support me. You do not know Matt Gaetz. And if you do, I apologize. But Matt Gaetz is more than likely not going to openly say he supports me. Whether he agrees with me or not, my conversation with Matt Gaetz, and which I got, I didn't record it. I had photos of me talking to him. But I told him about that bill that Jay Trumbull voted for, and he did not comment. No comment whatsoever on that bill that's unconstitutional. So, and he says he knows Jay and they're friends, pretty much. So I highly doubt he'll show support for me. Now, I do have support from state house representatives that are in office right now. But they don't want me to release their names unless I feel comfortable with releasing their names. And because of recent controversies, I will not release their names because I don't want to, put someoe's name on my back without totally being on the same page.
Right now, we still got some time. Work your way into it, and then when it's time, that's when you'll release it. For sure. Heike Detroit says, your favorite president, Lincoln, or John? I'm guessing John Adams.
What do you?
I'm gonna say Lincoln, man. To be honest, I mean,
really,
I know Lincoln. He was very. It's just mainly the slavery thing, man. The slave. I can't get over.
Well, I get you, and it's definitely an important thing. But there's a lot of other things he did which are very. Being the first Republican president, he was.
It's hard, man.
John Adams.
For me, it's a hard only because that's a crucial part. I mean, I never try to play a race card. I've got a little African American in me. Don't ever try to really preach that. I'm just an American. At the end of the day, I'm American.
Of course, yeah.
I have I have like this nice suntan constantly.
For me, honestly, and my whole thought process on race doesn't mean much. I mean, my wife's Japanese. My kids are they're half Japanese, obviously. And it's all about culture, 100%. 1,000%. It is, and who you are as a person, right? Every person's different. So to me, your race, it only is if you care a lot about your race, that's fine. Your pride in your heritage, that's great. That's good. And I think that's a great thing. You should, but it doesn't really.
That's not your identity. That's not your identity.
It's just like my campaign manager is lesbian, right? She has a wife. Her wife is not only a Democrat but Muslim. So get that. And I am completely okay if you want to do whatever you want to do. I believe in the NAP, right? The non-aggression principle. So that means, and that's my libertarian side coming out of me. But I'm Republican. All right, guys, don't misconstrue. But I believe in the idea that I can do anything I want to do as long as I'm not infringing on your ability to do anything you want to do. And that's kind of a part of. So I'm a constitutionalist, and then just smack the nap on there, and that's me. That's who I am. So if you want to be whatever. You want to be a unicorn. Go ahead, be a unicorn, man. Totally cool. Not messing with me at all, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't, you know, there's the government should not be trying to control what you do inside your bedroom or inside your own home. That's just not where we need to be. We don't need to be dealing with that.
That's not the government's.
Yeah.
That's we
But
say.
but the reason why I brought that up was because I just lost track. Um, there's a lot of people in the gay community who um, talk almost solely about them being homosexual, and they actually build their entire identity around the fact that they are homosexual, and that's not healthy. They can do that if they want to, obviously, but what you're doing is you're summing up your whole person to one thing, and
One
that's
thing.
your sexuality, you know, and it's just not that important in the grand scheme of things, right? I'm all for equal rights. I'm all for equal rights for everyone. But just like me saying, "Oh, I'm a white dude. I'm super proud to be white," blah blah blah, and my whole identity being wrapped around that, or are you being black or whatever, right?
Right.
It's just like that with people in the
That
gay.
shouldn't be the identity of it.
It's not. It
You
doesn't. It
should
doesn't.
just, I care if you want to the LGBTQ community. I'm okay with them. I have no
Mhm.
issues.
Yeah.
You want to do whatever, you like men, you can like men. You like women, you can like women. If you want to be trans, you can be trans. I don't care.
Mhm.
Just don't try to
Don't
force
make
it
me
down
pay
my
for it.
throat. Don't push it down my throat to where
Yeah.
I have to acknowledge all these different aspects of that community
Mm.
because I don't understand it because it's not part of my life. And I want them to have, you know, like I've actually, me and a couple guys, we went out and open carried and we actually ran across a gay pride. It was a gay pride parade. And we were walking dead in the middle of this parade,
Whew.
open carrying rifles and everything. And, nothing happened. We actually talked to them and we were like, we actually support you guys and want you guys to arm yourselves to understand that like the gun community is not against you. We actually want you to arm yourselves to protect yourselves because you are sometimes, that's, you look at the Pulse nightclub thing. If, we want them to be armed to protect themselves because there are people that are heinous and crazy and just that have that mentality that I don't. I would never hurt anybody from that community unless they try to hurt me or my family or somebody.
And
And
that is a great segue into the El Paso shooting. Um, if you read the article, I was reading one of the articles on the shooting. I think it was CNN, of course.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, read the
and
same one. I think.
I sort out all the crap. Obviously, I'm hypercritical of it, but I try to be unbiased when I look at things and try to take things at face value. But the funny thing that was mentioned in there is that as soon as the police officers arrived, it was less than a minute, and the suspect was taken care of. Now, just imagine someone there had a gun,
Yeah,
or more than one person had a gun there.
yeah,
That suspect would have been taken care of, and no, and there could have been a lot less loss of life if someone had been there and carrying a gun. And I
yeah,
think it's extremely important that everyone gets educated on guns, understands gun safety, and buys a gun. I literally think I'm not, not all people, but I think the majority of people should get into it, understand it, and use it. It's a tool. It needs to be used. It's extremely important. And I feel naked without having my gun on me at all times. So,
yeah, yeah. It's almost a weird feeling.
mhm.
I mean, other than my house, I mean, even in my house, it's still sitting within arm's reach, and it's just
Mine's right
weird.
there
Not,
on the
you know
counter.
what I mean? Like, it's just like I don't need to carry like in my house. I usually don't keep it, concealed or whatever. I just sits within arm's length. But that's for anybody, just a little bit of firearm training for the like I watched another video and they were going through the numbers with they say okay 40,000 people die from firearms. Well, 26,000 and change are from suicides. So we've got that part's the mental half. And then there was like 1,600 and change that were police homicides. And then the big other number were 8,000 that were, actually probably killed by a firearm, whether it was just a murder or whatever. But the number for mass shootings was just so low. It's not that it's low. One's too many, but you're talking like you're talking micro percentages.
Yeah.
It's not even like a half of percent. It's like,
Well, that's the idea behind most gun legislation is, none of them have a statistical or evidentiary basis whatsoever. There's no
no,
gun laws that are based on some sort of factual evidence to support them existing. None of them are. Most law-abiding gun owners that end up accidentally or committing a crime, it's most of it's either a crime of passion, right? You come home, your old lady's cheating on you, heat of the moment kind of thing, or a misunderstanding of some sort of gun law, or like a negligent discharge of a firearm. Right?
yeah,
This is the majority of these legal gun owners' crimes. Right? It's not
yep,
they're not going on killing sprees and stuff like that. And the people that do, these are people who are very mentally unstable. I know that I got a lot of brothers and sisters in the military who are they have hardcore severe post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff like that. And not to say they shouldn't own a gun, because they should. I think everyone should have the ability to go and get a firearm, but we need to address these situations. And I think there's a big
absolutely.
stigma behind the idea of mental health. People are afraid to go seek help because
Yeah,
they're looked down upon. Um, a lot of my brothers and sisters in the armed forces, they don't get help because they are worried that they'll be labeled and they won't be able to get a job, or to lose friends or whatever. And um, people need to seek help. We need to reform. We need to change the way we look at mental health in the United States.
yeah, I totally agree. And for your brothers and your sisters, and even for me, mine was probably the most mild version. I've never been to war or anything, but even the day that I was in Miami and I had guns pointed at me, I didn't sleep right for almost 2 months. Like the
Uh-huh.
first 2 months of that, after that day, I was within an inch of I was within a trigger pull of my life that day, and
Yep.
that's all it would have taken. And I, like, after watching the video and then reliving that whole thing over again, it was rough. And
Yep.
for me, I got past it. And for your brothers and sisters that have those extreme cases, I know that they can seek help and get help to. It'll never go away, but they can find ways to cope with it. And
Yep.
that's where we need to help them with. There are
Mhm.
people out there that can cope with their issues, but a lot of people aren't looking for that help. Not saying your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's beyond.
These mass
There
shooters.
are
These
other
mass shooters.
issues beyond just your brothers and sisters.
Hmm.
But
I
the
mean,
mental
and
health thing definitely needs to be relooked at and almost encouraged, if they feel they have those issues, to seek the help.
the one thing that I don't agree with, though, is that we're talking, a lot of people, a lot of politicians, and concerned mothers, which I know that they mean well, concerned about bullying in school, right? And I have to tell you right now, I think bullying is the greatest thing ever. I think bullying is the reason why I am who I am. I think without bullying, I would have been screaming at the sky when Donald Trump got elected. Got to be honest with you, and that and a lot of ass whoopings. Those help too. Um, but my kids, I'm gonna try to take what the hell is that? I'm gonna try to get my son. I'm already registering him to go to a Christian school, and I'm going to try to push that Christian school, the good teachings. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the curriculum and all that, and pushing him through that. But towards high school, I'm going to make sure that he goes to a public school, because I think it is the most important thing ever. Public schools are horrible, but the value that you get from them is actually the interactions and dealing with other people. That
Yep,
is the most important thing, I think, by far.
huge thing. And same for me. The beginning, I just there's got to be some kind of interaction, because if homeschool's great. There you can actually give them. You might be able to give them a little better education because you can control what they're learning. but there's the whole social interaction. And if
Yeah.
I want my daughter to be not social with everybody, but I want her to be able to be social with people, be able to say, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you." Whoever the person is, and you get that from school. Even for me, I've met so many people. I traveled around. My parents were in the military, so I bounced around from school to school to school to school, and the
Mhm.
only thing I had was the people I had at school because I didn't make friends. I didn't have that friends connection in my town. It was like I was there one day, and I was gone the next.
Mhm.
So public school system just needs a little tweaking to
Yeah.
help
Of
the
course.
education half. The
Definitely.
social part is great. I mean, for the most part, and that's another thing. Like for the people that maybe that's a big issue in part of these shootings is with these young kids, because I've noticed it's always between 18 years old and 25, maybe
Mhm.
26, 27-ish, but usually in that younger 18,
Mhm.
upper teens to that mid 20s, and maybe it's bullying, maybe
I
it's
think I
how they
think
were treated. I don't
I
know.
think bullying, and this is my honest opinion, I think bullying has almost nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. That's gonna
No,
make people mad too.
I don't
That's
know
gonna
what
make
it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is the parents, and I'm pointing the finger at the parents because the schools aren't raising the kids, the parents are, and if your kid is dealing with some stuff and you don't know about it, you're just a bad parent. That's the way I look at it. If
Okay.
Yeah, there's times when kids keep stuff to themselves and it's unavoidable. I've got a friend of mine, a personal friend of mine, whose daughter committed suicide at the age of 16.
Mm,
And do I blame him for that? No.
no.
Um, and I'm sure he did everything he could, and I'm sure he was unaware of what was going on. So there's situations like that. There's anomalies that we can't control, just like these mass shootings. We can't control these anomalies, but we do need to make a bigger effort, a better effort in the House to address these issues and not shrug them off. Actually, take them seriously when because depression can lead to you doing things that you normally wouldn't do. You know, um, Getting in these confrontations, even physical altercations with kids at school, being bullied, stuff like this, I think is extremely important to build your character, build your resistance, and to be able to deal with people in the real world. I think that's the most important thing. But these kids, some of these kids they take some of the stuff and they internalize it, and then they end up committing suicide or doing some crazy stuff like shooting up a school. The reason why they got to that point was because no one saw what was going on in this person internally, or maybe someone did, and no one did anything about it.
Right.
Right? And we as a society need to get together. And when we see somebody and having this breakdown, we need to step in and do something about it, and immediately if we can. And I think that right there itself will prevent a lot of these. The idea of having a mental health counselor at the schools, or teaching mental health, I think that's important. I think I'm willing to pay tax money to get that done. I think that's extremely important, but I'd like to see the parents getting more involved and that kind of stuff. I know it's hard.
Yeah,
People got
and
double
that's
jobs,
something
two
that's
jobs, but
even at the state level, no matter what, there's no way that we can step into the homes and ever control that. All we can
nope.
do is say, hey, you know, I believe it's just a military, the whole military. It's God, family, country. You know, if we can really work on those three things, keep God in your heart, take care of your family, and love your country. All that, a lot of those things would probably go away. But
Yeah.
but as a politician, there's never no way to get into the home to say, hey, if you're not doing this right for your kids, there's going to be a punishment, because we couldn't do
Yeah.
it. But I do agree 100% that there needs to be how do you say to the parents they need to be better role models?
Hmm.
And
It's
that's
tough.
the like I couldn't
It's
tell
hard.
somebody, but I could say, hey, you know, what does your son or daughter need that you're not giving them? Or and that's the hard
Maybe
thing.
maybe a little bit more of interactivity with the school system and having the parents more involved with their students, or
Yep.
trying to get the parents more involved. I know that some people are working double shifts, two jobs, three jobs. Their wife's working too. So some people don't have time for this kind of stuff. But honestly, it's your kids,
Yeah,
and you need
yeah.
to make time.
We have to
And
take care of them.
you
If
got
we
to
don't
make
take
time.
care, we don't take care of them. Who's going to take care of them for us?
Exactly.
And once again, that's where you can see a lot of the Democrats. They're like, oh, we'll just take care of you. We're just going to give you. We'll do all this stuff, but all you have to do is give us everything that you have, and
Yep.
that's not
Including your rights.
right. Yeah, and That's not gonna work for me. And I'm sure it's not
Yep.
gonna work for you either.
Nope.
Not today, anyway.
No.
That's for sure. All right. Well, we're coming up on 1 hour mark. So you want to keep going, or what's up, man?
I don't care either way. My old lady's out of town, so I can
Yeah, yeah,
do it for.
yeah.
But I think it's important to let everybody know what we're planning on doing, right? I mean, what we're.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's let them know.
Yeah. You go ahead.
All right. Well, we're gonna try to do this at least once a week. We're gonna probably do it on a Sunday, sometime during the weekend, so that everybody can kind of get together. And we're gonna really focus on the political half and really talking about what's going on. I know that at the beginning we were going to talk about Nikki Fried. I've talked about her a couple times, but we really want people to understand what's going on with either what's going on politically or what they're trying to do politically that are going to really affect all of us here in Florida. And that's the goal here, is really to generate and help people get to know who we are as politicians. And anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely important. I think getting people more involved in local politics here at the state level is extremely important as well. Um, Not only learning about our campaigns, but also trying to get involved yourself and pushing for you guys to get involved at your local level. Go to your GOP, go to your city council meetings. I know that some of them they schedule in the middle of the day when we're all working, kind of convenient for them. Um, but get involved in local politics. Speak up, stand up, do something about it, right? Run for office and let us know if you're running for office. We can work together. And we have to work together as a team to take Florida back. Look at states like Missouri. They passed legislation that outlaws all federal gun laws. If a federal law enforcement officer comes to Missouri and tries to apply a federal gun law to a citizen of Missouri, they'll be arrested. That's the 10th Amendment. We can do things like that here in the state of Florida. And if we work together to get rid of these rhinos, these fake Republicans in office, I think we can really have a change. I mean, we can really protect ourselves from, because what happens in 6 years when Donald Trump gets out of office, right? Because he's going to be reelected, of course. But what happens when he is out of office? Look at the Democrat Party. All of the Democrats from 2016, right? 2016, Bernie Sanders was a crazy loon. He was far left, right? But all the Democrats saw that he actually won. He actually won the election, the primary. But Hillary Clinton was given it because DNC and Hillary Clinton. Don't suicide yourself. But yeah, so now everyone's realized that the people of the Democrat Party, not the politicians, they want a socialist. They wanted Bernie Sanders. They want free shit, right? So now all of the candidates, all the mainstream candidates are all about free healthcare, free this, free that, free everything. Everything's free. And they're all so far left. So in reality, the Democrat Party, if they get a president in office in 2024, your rights are going to be taken. They're going to be stripped from you. And the only way that we can prevent that from happening is by bolstering the states, putting true constitutionalists in office at the state level to prevent the federal government from infringing on our rights. And down with the NFA, I agree with you. Down with the ATF as well. There's many organizations that are useless and do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we get some good comments, and keep them coming, everybody. If you're here still, make sure you put in a good comment, because yeah, just like Cop 350ZX, you actually know Cop 350ZX. He's Dennis Fields.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
part of Florida Carry, and you've met him at, I think, the Ocala
Yeah, he
gathering.
was there. I think
Yeah.
did he come. I think he came out to Panama City Beach too. I
Oh
believe.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He took that trip out there.
He's
He's
making
he's a
moves
lot
all over
closer than I am, man. I'm like 8 hours away from anything up there, man. It's
Yeah.
like a weird trek to go up to the state, and yeah. I got a buddy that just got his pilot's license, and if he's still on here, um, James Madison, we're gonna have to borrow that Cessna to fly from Daytona to friggin' Panama City, dude.
We use the Cessna to drop flyers for our campaigns.
Oh yeah, spread them out, just let them go. Yeah,
Biodegradable, of course.
free for all.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what was it? You see that non-political related, technically. You see Palmetto State right now. Those lowers.
What's going on with them?
Palmetto State is selling, and I am not sponsored by Palmetto State. Hey, sponsor me, please.
Yeah.
But they are selling AR lowers, completed lowers, right? Everything for AR pistol for $109.
Oh, wow.
$109, and they have an upper for a pistol upper. This is 5.56, of course, for $180. So for 290 bucks,
Yeah.
$300, you have a completed AR pistol from Palmetto State, which is pretty awesome. I would stockpile on those lowers, that's for sure.
All day stockpile, man, because like I've really been trying to hold off on doing it, baby and all that good stuff, but it's almost to the point where you either start getting a lot of lowers because the upper halves I believe we're still going to be able to get, but they're going to restrict the lower half of that rifle. They can't restrict the barrel.
Machines.
Yeah. Or
I'm
going to go buy me a 3D printer and just get it done with, be over with.
Yeah. I got some machinist buddies who make guns, so
yeah.
Spike Tactical
is really good too, but with that really good name comes a really good price tag too. But they do have Spike Tactical they do have a lot of sales and stuff like that. But Palmetto State Armory, they're
cheap, man.
Yeah,
and they're made in America.
I've seen a lot of their reviews, and I've seen people, shoot
very positive,
like thousands of rounds through them, and I mean, very minimal, if any, malfunctions, anything like that.
Like the Honda Civic of ARs.
Yeah.
There you go. Darian, he's gonna help us build some AR lowers. I got to stock up on them. So.
I got you, bro. I'll just go buy the metal. Let's just build it from the beginning.
Mill aluminum, billet aluminum, just straight blocks. Storing aluminum at your house. What you doing with this aluminum?
I don't know. I was just gonna scrap it.
Yeah.
This all came from all the beers I used to drink. I drink canned beer, so I just melted it and made it into a solid block of aluminum.
Hey, I've seen it. I've seen guns with aluminum made from beer cans for sure. I've seen that before. It's kind of people can do some crazy stuff, but not complete lower. But I like building.
Yeah.
He's
got a lower for 69. I'm not. It's 69% lower. I'm not really sure what that means.
What is a 69?
Yeah.
Lower for $69. Dollars. You got lower for $69. That's what he means. All right. Well, you can get lowers on Palmetto State for $40. So.
Yeah, you can get lowers pretty cheap on there too, man. So, but yeah, definitely. In between both of us, I'm running for District 84. Stephen Linney, you're for what district?
District 6.
District 6. So, if anybody here is part of any part of these districts, or somebody, or a politician in another district that is right next door to us, tell any of them to reach out to us, or we'll reach out to them, and we want to cohesively work with them, especially if they're, as long as their values are somewhat in the same direction as ours, we want to listen to them, and we want to support the things that they want to support. But obviously, if they're a rhino, don't send them our way, because we don't. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to call them out on their bull stuff.
Send them our way.
Yeah.
Hey, but I guess it's we've been on here for an hour 15. I guess it's what, plug time? Plug time.
Yeah. It was just this was if you got plug time, send it in. Put all the stuff you want to talk about in.
I just want to say, you have a website, right? So this is what's really important right now is not only getting this petition signed to get on the ballot. Okay, I gotta get 12. I gotta get 1,200. It's like 1,200 ish, somewhere around there. But also it's raising money, right? And so I'm gonna just say this first and foremost. This is Michael Taylor's show. Please contribute to Michael Taylor. Anyone, anywhere can contribute inside the United States to both of our campaigns to get us elected to office. And you don't even understand how important every single dollar is. If you donate $1, that's important. And the reason why I say that is I'm running against a guy who is a millionaire. He can easily raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm sure it's the same way for Michael.
I've got two of them that make that. One's already got millions, and the other one she's already collected a couple 100,000. So,
and it's hard for people like me and Mike to get actually into office because we have these people raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're just blocking us out with these big, huge campaign ads, these TV ads, and they're all over the place. Everybody knows who they are because they have the money, the ability to distribute their message a lot easier, a lot faster because they have that money and they can just pay people to do it for them. We don't. So me and Mike, we're going door to door, knocking on doors, asking people for the support, right? So if you can, check out his website. I'm sure he's going to leave information.
Oh yeah, your link will be in there. When we're done, shoot me your donor box, and I'll put all those links in there and let everybody know where they can donate to you or myself. All of it, because it really does make a difference. Like he was saying, all those yard signs that you see, they cost money, and it's not that I have a job, but my job pretty much supports my family. So anything that anybody can, I do put in money into my thing to help me get, like the pens and paper and the ink that I need to print out the petitions.
Just those signs they're like $10 a sign,
Nothing is cheap at all. And as soon as they find out it's like political, they're like, oh yeah, jack it up another $4 because they know how much you need it. If it was just
we can share information though on that too, so we can help each other with cost effective stuff. Like I'm using what's called woodpecker.co, and that I'm doing an email campaign, mass emails. Like I like 8,000 people that I'm sending emails, and I'm not doing it in a repetitive and in a manner where it's annoying, but in a way to let people know what's going on, kind of, then to get my name out there, But this kind of stuff's important, and this stuff that's $40 a month. Getting car, I got 1,000 cars. That was like a couple $100. Bumper stickers, a couple $100. Like trying to get shirts and hats and stuff. This hat right here is like $35. I mean, that's because my campaign manager spent too much money on it. But we can get these things for a little bit cheaper than that, of course. But getting this, like having campaign shirts, I've got campaign shirts on my website. All of this stuff's expensive, so I can't even keep a stock of my own shirts because it's going to be a couple $100, and I can use that money somewhere else. So we're really penny pinching here. $25 a year to help lobby Tallahassee. But yeah, so check out my website, LINNE for Florida.com, and that's the number 4. And obviously he's going to put the information in the description. Please send money to my friend.
To both of us.
And me too, please.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And check out our websites. Yeah, there you
go. Send it, and like I said, we're not asking for hundreds. We're not asking for thousands. We're just if you have an extra couple dollars, a couple dollars, and I don't usually ask for it, and we're both not really asking, but if you can, it does make a difference because both of us are really looking out, not just for 2A rights. We're looking out for the the entire state of Florida.
Well, think
And
about this too.
That's our goal.
Yeah, so let's say you have what, 10,000, around 10,000 people who follow your page, right? So imagine if each person gave you $1, 10 grand. That is a lot of money for a campaign like ours, right? And give you $1, give me $1. That's a 10 grand. Boom, right? And $1 is nothing. $1 is nothing. $2, $5. I mean, and if you get 1,000 people to give you that, wow, you now have enough money to have a real campaign, you know. But yeah, I get off the money topic. Everybody hates talking about money, giving money away to people.
And we don't. And notice how we didn't say anything about money until the hour and 20 mark, because it's not that. It's just the way
it is what it is.
It is. Yeah. You know, we hate it. Hey, you donate here, donate here, donate here. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. We're not gonna say anything bad about you, because for those that did, we appreciate it. For those that don't, we don't appreciate them, because a vote doesn't cost them anything. If they can vote for us, that's worth $1 million at the end of the day, because that vote is going to get us elected so that we can. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But I look forward to seeing you, I guess, next week, hopefully next Sunday. And let's see, let's get this out of the way. Yep. So next Sunday, I think we'll be back here around this time in the evening time, talking about other topics. And Mike's going to be the point of contact. I'm just a lowly, just a guest. I'm a guest on the show. So. But
I'm just a guy with a YouTube page. That's it. That's all I am. I'm just a guy with a YouTube page, just trying to get a message out there. And if your message is what I believe in too, I want you on my show. I want you on my page. I want you to, especially if you're trying to benefit Florida, reach out to me. You can reach out to me at soloyacker2@gmail.com.
And Facebook page is yep, there you go. Yeah. And then my Facebook page is facebook.com/Linney for Florida, LINNE, the number 4 Florida. And that's the same for my website, linneyforflorida.com.
And then it was Facebook, right?
Yeah. And every other social media is at Linney for Florida.
So linneyforflorida.com is where they can find your main website, right?
Yep. And on there, they can actually see on the front page a video where I got a chance to ask why Jay Trumbull voted for gun confiscation, and that's a great video. I suggest you all go watch it while he dances around the question for 10 minutes.
It's funny how they do that, isn't it?
It's funny.
They just give you a straight answer to it. They just
and the crazy part is he doubled down on gun confiscation. He doubled down on it, saying that it was a good thing, and then danced around answering why he did it. Like, it's anyway, this has been going on for about an hour and a half, and I think we got what we needed. We got our message across.
We got it, and share it away. Everybody here, share this. Share it. Tell everybody, because that's the only way it ever gets any notice, or anybody in our 2 different districts, is that if we don't share it to whoever you're talking to, nobody's ever going to know. So share this amongst all your friends, family, whoever. And I want to say, Stephen Linney, thank you so much. I'm actually going to put you.
I don't hear you now.
Go ahead and give him one last shout out, bud. Give him, this is your last chat. Tell him who you are, district, all that good stuff. And we'll go, and we're going to sign off after that.
All right. Sounds good. Yep. I'm Stephen Linney. I live in Panama City, Florida. I'm running for Florida House District 6. That's Bay County, up here in the Panhandle. And I'm running against a guy who thinks gun confiscation is okay. Check out my website at linneyforflorida.com. It'll be in the description. And I do appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys next week on our next podcast or video, I guess, live stream. That's it.
Awesome, brother. I will catch you on the flip side. Like I said, I will pull all the stuff from Facebook and all that good stuff. And Have a great night, brother.
All right, man. See
See
you
you next week. Later.
later.